Batman almost destroyed the universe trying to bring the Flashpoint timeline back? We start with Batman walking slowly through some strange wreckage. There's a bloody clock, a broken picture frame, and a billboard with a lot of strange writing on it. Batman takes a second to study the billboard before slowly walking into the next room. There he finds something even more bizarre, a time sphere, the vehicle used by Rip Hunter and his team to travel through time. This one's clearly taken several gunshots, the glass still splintered from the impact. Combining this with the artifacts in the first room, this was clearly their base. Something must have happened to Hunter and his team, the Time Masters, but Batman isn't worried about that. Them being distracted is useful to them right now. He continues deeper into the vault, now joined by criminals Mime and Marionette. The pair are originally from the Watchmen universe, and at Batman's insistence point him towards a watch, one that marks out a familiar-looking snow globe. This is what he came for. The trio leave, Batman telling the villain couple to go look after their daughter. Marionette is still curious though. She wants to know what Batman's going to use the snow globe for. The Dark Knight doesn't answer her but walks over to the blackboard, erasing 4 words from it. Thomas Wayne will die. We move to Dr. Thomas Wayne asleep at his desk. He's woken up by Oswald Cobblepot, his assistant, just in time for Judge Dent to burst into Wayne's office with demands. Dent wants Thomas to go to the Arkham Asylum to visit his wife. Thomas is the only person she'll talk to now. Thomas is confused. His last memory of this timeline was everything being reset by the Flash. This world, this history, shouldn't exist anymore. But he's still here. Martha Wayne still became the Joker. She tortured Dent's family, driving his wife Gilda Dent insane. Nothing has changed. Thomas leaves the room. Harvey Dent screaming at him to go help his wife already. But Dr. Wayne needs time to think. He honestly thought he'd changed things. He had made a reality where his son Bruce could survive, but no. One trip to the graveyard makes it clear that this is his world, his timeline. Bruce is dead, and he's now Batman again. Martha's even shown up to laugh at him. The idea that he could have saved Bruce must have been nothing more than a cruel joke after all. Thomas barely notices the news as it continues to note global tensions rising. He doesn't care. This world shouldn't exist, shouldn't be real. He's in his Batcave trying to work this out, only for someone to leave a taunting message on his blackboard. Everything matters. Thomas growls. This has to be Reverse Flash, the man who created this timeline. The man Thomas killed to let the Flash reset things. He's on to it all now. He'll get Flash back, reset the timeline again, and kill whoever was responsible for this. And his first step is obvious. Track down Barry Allen, the man who should be the Flash. It's easy enough for Thomas to find his address in Central City. He tries to explain everything to Barry, but the forensic examiner doesn't believe him. Hoping to prove his point, Thomas sedates his former friend and hooks him up to a device that should replicate the accident that first gave Barry superpowers. They've done it before, back during the original Flashpoint, so Thomas remembers everything they need to make it work. But this time, things go bad. A spear thrown from the shadows destroys the chemicals needed for the device. Thanks to that, Barry is fried by lightning, dying brutally. Thomas tries to react, but below a car explodes. Hearing a kid's cry, Thomas swings down to rescue him from the car. This was Dent's kid. Harvey was driving and now he's dead. Batman follows the assassin who killed the pair. He's apparently an Atlantean ordered by Aquaman to do this. That doesn't make sense. Aquaman has no way to know about the timeline reset, but it's all Thomas can get out of him. He wants to turn the killer in, try to act like his more merciful son, but he's ultimately provoked into murdering the assassin. Thomas doesn't feel great, but powers through. Nothing matters. He just has to reset the timeline, then everything will work out. First though, he has Judge Dent's kid to take care of. Thomas shares a meal with the young Dexter Dent before leaving him in Oswald's care so Tom can go do Batman stuff. Oswald isn't excited about this, but Dexter asking him to learn about shooting guns is reassuring to the mafiosi. That's something he can understand. Thomas is off to Atlantean-controlled London. He needs to get answers out of Aquaman. To do that, he needs Wonder Woman's magic lasso that forces whoever touches it to speak the truth. She and Aquaman fought a vicious war in this timeline, and now Diana is imprisoned by the Atlanteans in this conquered city. Thomas invades the prison and lets Diana go in return for her lasso. He ambushes Aquaman with it, but the results aren't good. He knows nothing about the assassin he supposedly sent to Gotham. Aquaman almost kills Thomas for daring to try this. Thankfully for Batman, Wonder Woman arrives to finally end the war between her and Aquaman, leaving Thomas free to get back to Gotham. Someone has blown up Thomas's casino while he's been gone, killed a bunch of Oswald's men. But hey, at least Dexter's had a good time learning to shoot. Meanwhile, in the main DC timeline, the actual Flash has come to check in with Bruce. Something strange is going on with time. He's not sure what yet, but the Flash and the Justice League are investigating. Barry is sure they'll get to the bottom of this. After he's gone, a voice taunts Batman from a corner. Corky Baxter, the youngest of the Time Masters. He can't intervene directly, but the Flashes will, once they figure out that this threat to time is being caused by Bruce. Corky tries to get the Dark Knight to back down, but Batman's having none of it. He's sticking with this plan. Back in the Flashpoint timeline, Thomas is trying to work out what is going on. It's not just Barry, a bunch of time travelers have been murdered, and he's seen no sign of any kind of future savior. The Flashpoint Batman is going to be on his own for this one. For now, he's off to check on his bombed-out casino. He takes a chip as a memento, but there are no clues, at least from the casino. The commissioner shares something interesting with Thomas, though. A man named Roger Hayden in Arkham claimed that Bruce Wayne, long dead in this reality, was supposed to be Batman. That's the best clue Thomas has found yet. Hayden, better known as the Psycho Pirate, is a time anomaly. He's immune to changes in the time stream. No matter how DC's history changes due to crisis events and retcons, Psycho Pirate always remembers the original version. If anyone could help Thomas Wayne work out what's going on here, it's Roger Hayden. Unfortunately, Batman arrives at Arkham only to find Hayden dead in his cell. Someone has strung him up from the ceiling light after taping his golden mask to his face. Thomas doesn't buy that this was a suicide. He reads over the words in Psycho Pirate's cell. There's nothing useful, unfortunately. He's about to leave when someone calls out to him. Gilda Dent, Harvey's wife. She's worked out who Batman is and knows that he's got her son Dexter. Thomas tries to talk with her. Gilda's cell was right next to Hayden's. She might know something about who killed Psycho Pirate. Gilda is not doing well. Her daughter killed herself after that encounter with the Joker, but she tells Thomas the basics. She heard Hayden getting strangled by his own bedsheets, but her focus is on Batman. Gilda blames Thomas for driving his wife mad, turning her into the Joker that tore the Dents apart. For a few seconds, Thomas sees Martha's face there. Gilda's words hit home. And when she calls him a bad father, trying to get him to admit to the flaws of his past, Batman punches at her cell's window enraged. Gilda Dent smiles and rams her head against the broken glass. As Batman leaves, she yells at him. Pain matters. Thomas is trying to deny it, wanting to desperately reset the timeline and not worry about his issues. But pain is real. Everyone's pain matters. Thomas swings away, looking to clear his head. Thankfully, he finds a nice, simple crime to stop: a mugging. He takes the thugs apart with literally surgical precision and enjoys every second of it. Nothing matters. He doesn't have to worry about the consequences. He can just be as violent as he wants. When the last thug pulls a gun on him, Batman turns it around and is about to shoot the thug dead. But he's interrupted by Superman. Back in the Prime DC world, Corky Baxter and Bruce are staring at the snow globe. Corky doesn't think much of it. No matter how you shake it up, nothing changes. The snowman can always see a wider world out there, but never interact with it. Just like the Flashpoint Batman, Thomas Wayne knows about the Prime timeline. He knows of a better world, but he can't break the glass. And Batman's response explains exactly what's going on here. Inside the snow globe, the snowman never melts. The Flashpoint timeline's been reset all right, but not by a supervillain. Bruce used the snow globe to do it, trapping this version of events inside. He's created a whole alternate messed up world just to make sure his father survives. But as Corky points out, that is dangerous. This snow globe belongs to Dr. Manhattan. If he comes looking for it before the Time Masters get it back to the vault, they are all going to be in big trouble. Back in the Flashpoint timeline, Superman has come to Thomas for help. Thomas, still unstable, tries to punch the all-powerful alien. It leaves Batman with a fractured wrist. He tries to insist he's still not coming with soups, but one hit is enough to knock him out cold. Back in Arkham, Gilda Dent is left alone in her cell, but somehow she hears a voice. one that promises her that she'll get her son Dexter back. He'll come to them and then they can finish this. When Batman comes to, he's in the Oasis, a beautiful safe haven for the world's refugees. Poison Ivy is here and helps run this place. Superman is their leader, but the one who created this place is Ivy's former mentor, Jason Woodrue, the Floronic Man. His powers are enough to turn a wasteland into a sanctuary. The group doesn't have good news for Thomas. They've worked out that a Kryptonian invasion is on its way to Earth. In 5 days' time, they are going to conquer the planet. Superman and Ivy want Batman to try and rally the heroes of Earth to defend against this threat, but Thomas isn't interested. He's still focused on ending this timeline, still seeing this world as a fake. All this means to Thomas is that he's got a 5-day deadline to try and find out what's going on. And he gets one more clue. Eobard Thawne, his first suspect, is found dead in Central City, his body stuffed with clock parts just like the other murder victims. Tick is scrawled across his body in blood. Somewhere in the chronal vortex of hypertime, the Time Masters are trying to survive all these disruptions. Jeffrey Smith and Bonnie Baxter are piloting their own time sphere through a growing storm. The effects of this unstable timeline are starting to get worse. Soon enough, Thomas and Thawne have a mortuary table and starts to perform an autopsy. Like the other time travelers, his dead body has been stuffed full of gears. Thomas studies them closely, trying to work out what the killer is thinking. Back at Wayne Manor, Oswald is caring for Dexter Dent as best he can. Dexter, however, has other ideas. The old man just turns his back for a second and the kid is gone. Dex has snuck down to the Batcave and has been getting ready for a while. He's got gadgets, a bag, and a costume of his own. He has just become the Flashpoint Robin. Thomas gets back to Wayne Manor soon enough, but Oswald is waiting at the drive for him. One look at his face is enough for Thomas to guess what's wrong. Oswald has worked out where Dexter has gone. He had left a report on Arkham Asylum on the TV. With his mother still in prison there, it was enough to push Dexter to break in and try to get her out of there. Oswald tries to insist that Thomas go rescue Dex. He's just a kid trying to break into Arkham Asylum. He's in serious danger. Thomas doesn't listen, all his focus on the gears he found in Reverse Flash's body. He's trying to put them together. Oswald slams the desk, yelling at his boss that this is important. But to Thomas, once again, nothing matters. His only focus is trying to work out what's going on with these gears. They have to fit together. Oswald tries to yell at him that they need to do this quickly, but the old Wayne tells him outright that the child's life doesn't matter. Even Oswald looks nervous at that, asking his old friend what's going on. Over in Arkham, Dexter Dent is starting off his career as Robin with style, knocking out security guards smoothly. Just in case they recover, he removes the magazines from their guns, ditching the weapons in the trash as he heads deeper into the asylum, searching for his mother. Across the city from each other, Batman and Robin both work desperately towards their goal. Thomas slowly works the gears of the clock, slotting them into place. Dexter starts hot-wiring the door to his mother's cell, the one last thing he needs to do in order to get her out of there. Gilda Dent hugs her son close. The voice from before murmurs, only now Dexter can hear it too. Dex tries to tell his mother that this place is bad, but she is not listening, and that strange voice keeps talking. Thomas almost has the clock working, but as Oswald points out, it's not complete. There's still a missing gear. Thomas, looking down, finally realizes what this means. The final gear is from a different clock. Oswald, who has found some flies on the dents, tries to share a revelation about Gilda with his boss, but Thomas has already left him and gone upstairs. He turns to the grandfather clock he always used to conceal the entrance of the Batcave. He never bothered to fix it, the clock just needed to be a secret door, but smashing it open and reaching in, Thomas can tell at a glance. This gear fits. He knows who has been killing all these time travelers. Back in Arkham, a secret passage opens from what had been a featureless wall. That voice Gilda heard wasn't just in her head. As a terrified Dex, clutched by his mother, looks on, the Joker enters. She's behind all of this. And while events within the snow globe finally come to an end, it starts to glow with an eerie blue light. The glass is cracking as Bruce and Corky watch. The time-traveling kid identifies this as Blue Shift power, created where space and time meet. Bruce asks his guest what's going on. Corky doesn't spell it out, but implies that all this somehow is due to Bruce's mother's actions. Bruce didn't know her as well as he thought, and she's about to crack open this artificial timeline. Thomas is speeding towards Arkham Asylum. Oswald is yelling at him over the phone. He's looked through Gilda Dent's files, the files Harvey Dent sealed. Her daughter Debbie didn't kill herself. Gilda killed her. She's dangerous and Dexter shouldn't be anywhere near her. Thomas is silent for a second but insists this still doesn't matter. Oswald has finally had enough. He explodes at his friend. He's stuck by Thomas during this whole Batman thing because he thought the old man's cause was just. Oswald understood wanting to avenge Bruce, but now Thomas is going to let a kid just like his son die. And for what? Thomas tries to insist this really doesn't matter, that once he's gone, the timeline will reset. But he knows he can't convince his old friend of something so crazy. He just cuts the connection as he drives into Arkham. It's time to end this. Meanwhile, Joker is freaking Dexter Dent out. The boy tries to leave, but his mother isn't moving. Some dark part of Gilda wants to listen to Martha talk, though thankfully she still has enough sense to back away when the Joker pulls out a knife. Before anything happens though, Batman crashes in. Martha tries to stab him, but Thomas shoots the knife right out of her hand. Gilda pulls Dexter away, holding him a bit too tight while Batman and Joker wrestle. Thomas yells at Martha, demanding that she explain what happened. Why did she kill all these time travelers? That couldn't have been random. She doesn't answer him, the two continuing to brawl as the Dents reach the elevator down. Before Thomas can force her to talk, the security staff show up, forcing him to lock the door while the pair talk. Finally, Martha begins to explain even as she steps into another secret passage. She heard Psycho Pirate discussing the original timeline. She knew that there was a world where they both died, but Bruce lived. After everything that happened to her, the chance to fix it all was overpowering. And that's what she's been working on here, her very own time sphere. She got Psycho Pirate to tell her about the time travelers before she killed him. She stole their knowledge to build this, and that's what destabilized the snow globe. This little artifact was designed to maintain one timeline, but if Martha goes back and splits this reality, it becomes its own little pocket of hyper-time, something far more powerful. That's why the globe is cracking. That's just what might destroy the DC Universe, rewriting it so the Flashpoint isn't just one pocket reality, but everything. All because Bruce couldn't let his father go. And that's what Dr. Rip Hunter has shown up to stop, even if he has to take down Batman to do it. Rip tries to talk to Bruce, but it's no use. Soon enough, the fight begins. In the Flashpoint verse, Martha makes her offer to Thomas outright. They can go back together, save their son, forget this entire timeline and all the death that came out of it. Thomas tries to argue, bringing up all the people Martha murdered, but she throws his words back at him. Nothing matters here. If they change the past, none of this happens, and Gilda agrees. She's here too, wanting the timeline restored, wanting to be anything other than the monster who killed her own daughter. Two Batmen, both confronted by their grief. As they face it, the Flashpoint world falls apart. Wonder Woman's war continues, the Kryptonian invasion has begun. Yet it's Dex who pushes the scales, asking Thomas what will happen to him if he resets the timeline. Corky distracts Batman, sicking his pet raccoon Crockett on the Dark Knight. That's enough of an opening for Rip to grab the globe, and he's ready to smash it, destroying the Flashpoint timeline. But before he can, Thomas Wayne finally decides enough is enough. He can't accept the loss of life anymore. He can't run away from Dex. This world has happened, it does matter, and he will save the kid from Gilda. Laughing in despair, Martha blows up her time sphere, giving up on her ambition and covering the room in debris. But before Gilda can kill Dex, Martha's the one who intervenes, pulling her gun away and finally killing the murderous parent. Back in the Batcave, Rip and Corky look at the globe amazed. The timeline has stabilized. Thomas Wayne has moved past his grief and accepted this world. He's not a perfect Batman, keeping Martha locked up in the Batcave and taking Dex on officially as Robin, but the timeline can endure without the risk of destroying everything. Though there are a few complications still, 13 heroes isolated by the Time Masters are being pulled back into history. Somewhere, Nostalgia, the heir to Watchmen's Ozymandias, tries to contact Dr. Manhattan. But those are stories for another time. But hey, did you know Hulk once put Spider-Man 2099 through this same dilemma? We did a whole video on it. Check it out.